Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, welcome. If you guys are not new, then thank you for coming back and clicking on today's video. So we are going to discuss all things travel nursing. So I am going to be debunking a couple myths about travel nursing, and I am going to be sharing a little bit about my experience around some of these myths that I am debunking. So if you guys are interested in hearing what some of these myths are, I'm going to talk about 5, maybe 6 just off the top of my head, what these myths are, and then kind of diving into my experience around these myths like I said. Then please keep watching. Alright guys, so the first myth that I want to talk about is, of course, the pay. A lot of people out there talk about how travel nurses make a outrageous, crazy amount of money on the hourly rate. So what I want to talk about how much travel nurses make, you have to understand that there is a set hourly rate that travel nurses make. Now, when you think of the term travel nurse, I want you to understand that there are kind of different travel nursing gigs, so to speak. You can have just your standard travel nurse. You can be a travel nurse that only works strikes. You can do kind of rapid response FEMA style, which is kind of spurred up right now in the height of the pandemic and disaster relief. So when you think about travel nursing, I want you to keep those things in mind. So when you're thinking about the hourly pay, you guys need to be aware that there is a set rate that a travel nurse is going to make, but you also have to be aware that the hospital is paying to have the traveler come in for staffing relief. So yes, travel nurses do make an X amount, but it is because a lot of times travel nurses don't get vacation time, they don't get paid time off, they don't get sick leave, that sort of thing. So to compensate, that hourly rate would typically be more than the staff nurse. So yes, it is a higher hourly rate, but there's a lot of other factors that are factored in, so you can't just base it off of this one hourly rate, so to speak. So I won't dive too deep into the benefits right now, such as like the tax subsidiary, housing stipend, that sort of thing. We can touch on that in another video, but I definitely just wanted to talk about that salary piece, that hourly taxed rate. Okay, so myth number 2 that a lot of people think about travel nurses is that travel nurses have to go where their travel company tells them to go. And no, baby girl, that is not the case. You as a travel nurse have that right, and you have that autonomy to choose where you want to go. So hopefully you're working with a company and you have a great relationship with your recruiter where you can go back and forth about, hey, this is the region, this is the state, this is the area where I would like to go. If you're open to going anywhere, then hey, if your recruiter's like, hey, I have somewhere out in Kalamazoo, do you want to go? Pack up and roll. I have a good relationship with 2 recruiters that I work with back and forth on my assignments, and they'll throw things back out to me, but a lot of times I let them know ahead of time. I'm looking at something along the East Coast, X, Y, and Z states, day shift only. Price, don't send me anything that is bringing home less than such and such gross or less than such and such net. Like, so I've been kind of in the game long enough to know, like, I have a set bar. Don't send me anything less than that. Don't show me anything in any other region because I'm not interested. However, I have been a little bit more open since we're in the pandemic, and I am trying to stick with mainly the crisis style assignments. So yes, as a travel nurse, you can dictate where you want to go according to your plans, your lifestyle. Okay, so moving on and kind of piggybacking off of that, we're going to go into myth number 3, that travel nurses can only work on one job for the 13 weeks or however long their assignment is, and they have to move on. So no, that is absolutely not true. A lot of hospitals, if your work kind of speaks for you, or if there's an extended need, a lot of facilities will offer extensions. So I know that I was offered an extension at every assignment I have been on. When I was in DC, when I was in New York, when I left Texas, I was actually called back, but I decided that it was not going to be the right time for me. So yes, just because your contract is over does not mean that you have to leave unless you physically want to leave. A lot of times recruiters, what they should be doing is, as your contract is nearing the end, asking you, hey, where else would you like to go from here? So let's start looking at other places. A lot of times extensions will be put out, but it is no guarantee. So let me go ahead and say that. So there is no guarantee, so you should start looking at other assignments. But I would say 7 out of 10 times facilities will start to offer travelers an extension. So the typical travel assignment is 13 weeks. Most of the time they do offer some contracts that are 8 weeks. Very rarely do they have 4-week travel assignments, but you will typically find 8-week and 13-week travel assignments. In my case, I have done mostly 13 weeks. When I was in Texas, I did straight 80 days. So I typically look for those long, lengthier assignments. It gives me enough time to get through the orientation period if I have one, really get used to the unit, start flying on my own, and also kind of learn my way around the area as well. Okay, so moving on as well to myth number 4. Because it's actually something that I thought myself. So I know if I thought it, hundreds of other people, thousands of other people probably have thought this as well, that too many assignments will look bad on your resume. But then I thought, wait, actually this is going to be a plus, because as I've always said, experience speaks volumes, because this is going to show individuals, no matter where you slide your resume, that you have experience. So as a travel nurse, you have the opportunity to work in a plethora of fields: magnet status hospitals, private facilities, government facilities. Yes, even government facilities will hire travelers. Because I know when I was in the military, before I was even out of the military, I worked with travel nurses. So having this experience on your resume will highlight who you are as a professional. So having so many assignments on your resume is actually not a bad thing. So when I look at my resume and I'm looking at it and how detailed it is about who I am as a nurse, it looks actually really well. It shows that I have worked at magnet status hospitals. I've done crisis response. I've worked strictly with COVID. I mean, let alone if you look at the military experience, your resume will speak for who you are before you even have a chance to speak for yourself. Okay, so another myth that I want to kind of, I don't want to say throw out, because I know everybody has different experiences. I got that. I got it. So one of the big myths is that travel nurses are treated like crap. They get the bad assignment from permanent staff. Now, if you are experiencing anything like that, let me go ahead and throw out a disclaimer. You need to start talking to the leadership at the hospital that you're working at, because I can guarantee you that is not the culture that they want on the unit. Now, for myself personally, I will say I have not had one of those types of assignments where I was mistreated, belittled, given the crap assignment, but I know that it does happen. So I can't necessarily say I'm debunking the myth, but I will say that for the most part, hospitals are hiring travelers to bring them in to help offset the stress and the workload of their permanent staff. So I'll take myself right now in the situation that we're in with COVID and the pandemic. There were times where even in New York and even in Texas, permanent staff were so overwhelmed, so overworked with everything that was going on with these COVID patients, that by the time the influx of travelers came in to lighten the load, to help with the nurse-patient ratio, we were a welcomed commodity. Like, I've talked to travelers who have unfortunately gotten, the bad end of the stick. They felt like they've been, treated poorly. I know someone was telling me one time that they actually heard staff talking about the traveler themselves, giving them the crap assignment, like, oh, they know how much they make at the end of the day, so let the traveler do it. You're here pulling in all this bag, so why not? You're here to work, so you're going to make this money, so we're going to let you have the crap assignment. Like, it really should not be like that at the end of the day, but unfortunately, in some situations, it is. Alright guys, so I want to say thank you if you made it this far in the video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And the last myth that I want to talk about is that people think that travel nursing does not allow someone to have a steady stream of income. And that is not true. It all comes down to how you plan your life, how you plan your assignments. So for myself personally, I knew kind of toward the end of all of my assignments whether I had an extension offer and whether I was going to take it, and if I wasn't going to take it, where I was going to go next. So when I was in DC, I knew I had an extension offer, I knew I wasn't going to take it, and I knew I was going to New York. So for myself personally, there was a very small window of time from the moment my contract ended in DC when I went back to my apartment, packed up everything, and left to go to New York. So that was probably, I would say, like 8 days maybe that I was not working, and then started in New York, hit the ground running, and boom, already getting paid every week. And the same thing happened. I got home from New York, I was literally home for 2 days, and I flew out to Texas. So it's honestly how well you're able to work with your recruiter and how much time you want to give yourself off between assignments. So yes, travel nursing is something that can give you a steady stream of income if that is something that you want. Alright guys, so I hope that I've addressed some of your concerns about travel nursing if you're kind of on the fence about it, or if you've been thinking about it, or even if you are a travel nurse but you just kind of had, you know, some little qualms, you little iffy about certain things, you know. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave me your thoughts and comments down below in the comment section. If you guys are interested in trying out this journey of becoming a travel nurse and you don't really know where to start, or you're looking for a really good company or a really good recruiter, definitely reach out to me. I can give you some tips, give you some pointers. You can find me on Instagram and kind of send me something in the DM, or you can send me an email and I will hopefully be able to kind of lead you in the right direction. So as always, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.